Are you ready to commit that none of the evidence in the January 6th investigation will be destroyed under your watch?
Senator, I will follow the law. I will consult with ethical officials in the
Do
department.
you see any ethical basis to destroy evidence in the January 6th investigation? Then why can't you answer the question? Why can't you say, I commit to this committee, we will never destroy the evidence in the January 6th investigation? Why can't you give this committee and the American people that assurance?
Are you frightened because evidence was destroyed against President Trump that was false? Is that why you're frightened now? I can't believe this is even...
Why do you have difficulty answering that question?
She couldn't manage to declare that the January 6th probe deserved protection, and what unfolded next was completely unexpected. The recent confrontation between Adam Schiff and Pam Bondi transcended mere legal drama. It emerged as a sharp examination of the power dynamics within the U.S. government. Schiff highlighted the pressing necessity for an attorney general free from political influence, cautioning that the Supreme Court's careless decision had effectively granted the president a license to avoid consequences, allowing him to manipulate the Justice Department for his personal gain. Bondi, a fervent supporter of Trump, attempted to muddy the waters by minimizing the lack of credible evidence in the investigations into January 6th and the 2020 election. However, Schiff sliced through her obfuscations with precision. His message was unambiguous. If the presidency is shielded from accountability by the Supreme Court, then the ultimate defense must be an attorney general who is free from political allegiances. This wasn't merely a policy discussion. It was a stark warning that, without true independence at the Department of Justice, the distinction between upholding the law and facilitating presidential misconduct becomes dangerously blurred.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, as you know, the Supreme Court in Trump versus United States held the president has absolute immunity to commit crimes in certain core areas of the president's responsibility. One of those core areas is the Justice Department. So in a breathtakingly dangerous and irresponsible decision, Justice Roberts and the majority held the president could commit crimes using the Department of Justice and be immune from prosecution. Justice Sotomayor correctly said this new immunity lies about like a loaded weapon. So the fear and the concern we have is that the incoming president will use that loaded weapon, that immunity, to commit crimes through the Department of Justice. And for that reason, it is all the more important that we have an attorney general who has the independence, the strength, the intestinal fortitude to say no to the president when it is necessary. So my first set of questions has to do whether you have the independence to say no when you must say no. And you can say this is hypothetical, but it is not hypothetical. So let me start with one very specific non-hypothetical. The president has said Jack Smith should go to jail. Will you investigate Jack Smith?
Senator, I haven't seen the file. I haven't seen the investigation. I haven't looked at anything. It would be irresponsible of me to make a commitment regarding anything without, you're a long practicing attorney, without looking at a file.
So you would need a factual predicate to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
Not a summary by you sitting here. Yes, sir.
And not a summary by the president either, right?
Absolutely.
So a summary by the president or his desire to investigate Jack Smith would not be enough for you to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
I will look at the facts and evidence in any case.
And sitting here today,
Senator, 72% of Americans
I only have
have
7
lost
minutes.
faith in the Department of Justice.
Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Sitting here today, yes or no?
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances.
You can't answer that question? You're not a part of the department yet. There's no worry about divulging law enforcement sensitive information. So just tell us, are you aware of a factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Yes or no?
That heated exchange wasn't the end, just the beginning. It merely ignited the flame. Subsequent events exposed even deeper divisions within the system, revealing the schisms within American politics. The conflict over Jack Smith became a central issue. A senator firmly reminded everyone that investigations should be based on concrete evidence, not on a president's whims or partisan gossip. He emphasized that dramatic presidential claims can't take the place of proven facts. Pam Bondi, aligning with Trump's perspective, aimed to cast the Department of Justice as unreliable. Adam Schiff responded with a straightforward but crucial reminder: suspicion does not equate to guilt. This confrontation highlighted something more significant: the intentional undermining of public confidence in the DOJ by political figures anxious to exploit doubt. The unfolding drama wasn't merely about Jack Smith's integrity. It was a battle over whether facts still matter in a political arena, increasingly muddied by spin and manipulation.
Senator, what I'm hearing on the news is
Are you aware of
horrible.
a...
Do I know if he committed a crime? I have not looked
You seem reluctant to answer a simple question. Let me ask you a different simple question. The president also wants to jail Liz Cheney. Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Liz Cheney? Yes or no?
Senator, that's a hypothetical, and I'm not going to answer that question.
No, it's not hypothetical. I'm asking you, sitting here today, whether you are aware of a factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney.
Senator, no one
Based
has
on what
asked
you
me
know.
to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a
The
hypothetical.
president has called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate
But the president
Liz.
has
We're
called-
also
the
worried about
president-
Liz Cheney,
the
Senator.
president has
You know what
called
we
for
should
this-
be worried about?
Ms. Bondi,
The
please
crime rate
answer
in
my
California
questions.
right now
You
is
are
through
aware,
the roof.
Ms. Bondi,
Your robberies
Ms.
are
Bondi,
87%
my
higher
question-
than the national
my question
average.
is this.
That's what I
My
want to
question
be
is
focused
this.
on, Senator.
Do you have the
if I'm
power to
confirmed
say
as
no to the
Attorney
president?
General.
And what you're suggesting today by your non-answer is you don't have the independence to say no to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It also requires you, if you're going to be a good attorney general, to be able to tell hard truths to the president. So my questions now are, can you tell hard truths to the president? So let me start with an easy truth that you could speak to the president. Can you tell us, can you tell him that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? Can you say that? Do you have the independence to say that? Do you have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020 election? Can you tell us that here today?
What unfolded turned a mere disagreement into a sweeping confrontation, not only concerning Liz Cheney, but the essence of what defines truth itself. What ensued was even more impactful. The clash between Adam Schiff and Pam Bondi laid bare the emptiness of the Trump administration's dodges. When challenged on the absurdity of targeting Liz Cheney without evidence, Bondi resorted to a standard MAGA tactic, diverting attention to local crime data instead of addressing the issue. Schiff didn't allow her to evade the main point. He focused sharply on the matter of autonomy. Would Bondi ever have the courage to defy Trump and admit he lost the 2020 election, or was she fated to be another loyalist, echoing his deceptions? At that juncture, the debate over Cheney took a back seat. The crucial question was whether truth could prevail over allegiance. Schiff's determination highlighted a profound crisis engulfing American politics, whether Republican leaders will ever distance themselves from Trump's falsehoods or continue to be tethered to his alternate reality, thereby undermining the Democratic bedrock.
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I won't do it.
I'm just asking you a simple
I
question.
won't play
If you can
politics
speak truth
with any ongoing
to power.
investigation,
So let me ask you another.
like you did
let me-
leaking your
let me ask
colleague
you,
Devin Nunes's memo.
If you can't answer the question, let me ask you a different, what should be a simple truth, not a hard one. Was there massive fraud affecting the result of the 2020 election, yes or no?
Senator, I'm glad you asked that question, if you'll let me answer what I saw in Pennsylvania.
No, I asked a simple question about massive fraud.
I can only tell you what I saw in Pennsylvania.
I know you want to answer a different question, but my question is, can you tell us whether there was massive fraud affecting the results of the 2020 election, yes or no? Was there
I
or
can
was there
tell
not?
you what I saw when I went
That's
as an
not my,
advocate
that's
to
not
the
my
campaign.
question. So you can't answer that question. You can't speak that even easy truth to us, let alone to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It will also be important that you give good advice to the president. Are you prepared to advise the president not to pardon people who beat police officers?
Senator, as I said, the pardons are at the direction of the president. We will look and we will advise. I will look at every case on a case.
so you
Let me
look at-
finish. On a case-by-case
Okay,
basis.
okay, good.
And I abhor violence to police officers.
Follow up with that. So will it be your advice to the president, Mr. President, I know you said you want to issue hundreds of pardons on day one. Will it be your advice to the president? No, Mr. President, I need to go over them on a case-by-case basis. Do not issue blanket pardons. Will that be your advice to the president?
Are you prepared to suggest to the president that he should not pardon individuals who assaulted law enforcement? Senator, as I stated, the decision on pardons lies with the president. We will review and offer guidance. I'll evaluate each case individually. If I may finish, I am firmly against any violence toward police officers. To follow up, is that what you'll advise the President? Mr. President, I understand you intend to issue numerous pardons on your first day. Will you recommend against blanket pardons? Shouldn't each case be reviewed individually? Are you willing to assure that no evidence from the January 6th probe will be destroyed while you're in charge? Senator, I will adhere to the law and consult with ethical officials within the department. Do you believe there is any ethical rationale for destroying evidence related to the January 6th probe? Why can't you answer if you'll ensure this committee and the American public that the evidence will be protected? Are you reluctant because false evidence was eliminated against President Trump? Is that why this question seems challenging? She couldn't bring herself to guarantee the safeguarding of the January 6th investigation. What unfolded afterward was unexpected. The confrontation between Adam Schiff and Pam Bondi transcended typical legal dramatics, posing a critical question about the power dynamics within American governance. Schiff emphasized the urgent necessity for an objective attorney general, cautioning against the Supreme Court's reckless verdict that granted the president an undue advantage, potentially manipulating the Justice Department for personal interest. Bondi, staunch in her support for Trump, attempted to divert attention by minimizing the lack of credible evidence in the inquiries into the January 6th incident and the 2020 election. Nevertheless, Schiff pierced through her diversions, clearly stating that if the top court offers impunity to presidents, the Attorney General must remain unwavering and unbiased. This debate transcended policy. It cautioned that without true independence in the DOJ, the difference between lawful execution and enabling presidential misconduct becomes dangerously subtle. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, you are aware, as the Supreme Court in Trump versus the USA certified, the president possesses absolute immunity in key executive duties, notably within the Justice Department. In a dangerously reckless decision, Justice Roberts declared that the president could use the DOJ to commit offenses with no prosecution risk. Justice Sawyer rightly warned that this newfound immunity is as perilous as an unsheathed weapon. Consequently, there's justified concern that the successor president might exploit this immunity for unlawful acts via the DOJ. Therefore, it's even more vital that we have an attorney general capable of standing up to the president when warranted. My first group of inquiries concerns your capacity to oppose the president when needed. These queries aren't hypothetical at all. Let's begin with something tangible. The president commented Jack Smith should be imprisoned. Would you investigate Jack Smith? Senator, I haven't reviewed the case file or the investigation background. Committing to an action without reviewing any documentation would be irresponsible of me, especially given my extensive legal experience. Absolutely. A mere summary from the president is insufficient to launch an investigation. Without proper evidence, no, I would not pursue an investigation. The heated exchange served only as a precursor to what would reveal more profound system divisions, highlighting political schisms throughout the nation. Pam Bondi, mirroring Trump's storyline, attempted to discredit the DOJ's reliability, whereas Adam Schiff countered with reminding readers that suspicion doesn't equate guilt. The scenario illustrated more significant concerns, the intentional undermining of public trust in the justice system by political actors who benefit from spreading skepticism. This controversy was less about Jack Smith's reputation than it was a broader dispute over whether facts maintain their relevance in an increasingly tactic-driven political atmosphere. Senator, you're insinuating hesitance on my end in answering straightforward queries. Allow me to pivot with another question. Regarding the president's demand for Liz Cheney's imprisonment, is there now or ever a plausible foundation to investigate her? Yes or no? This query is hypothetical, and I'll refrain from speculation. It isn't hypothetical. I'm inquiring if, as it stands, any factual basis exists to validate investigating Cheney. Senator, nobody has instructed me to probe Cheney, hence it's purely speculative. You're aware of that reality. No one sought this investigation. However, the president campaigned for Cheney's detainment, so concerns arise. Ms. Bondi's deflections to local crime statistics detracts from responding appropriately. Schiff homes in on the crux. Would Bondi affirm Trump's 2020 electoral loss, or become another adherent echoing his inaccuracies? During this interaction with Cheney, the conversation shifted focus. Would the principle of truth hold its ground against unwavering loyalty? Schiff's actions illuminated a political ailment. Unquestioned allegiance to Trump's fallacies threatens democracy's core stability. Will Republican leadership sever ties from untruths or remain confined within distorted narratives, thereby risking democratic principles? Senator, I assert that I maintain integrity, avoiding engaging in mere political theatrics. Your questions link to a common misconception of oversight responsibilities. Permit me a different, simple query given your continued vacancy. Did extensive fraud impact the 2020 election results? Yes or no? While pleased you inquire, I must clarify what transpired in Pennsylvania as it's essential first-hand knowledge. My intention isn't to sidestep, but to factually address what I observed without making conclusory statements on generalized claims of fraud, deferred to broader factual evidence. It's critical that you provide the president with sound advice. Are you ready to suggest that he refrains from pardoning those who assaulted police officers? Senator, as I've mentioned, granting pardons falls under the president's jurisdiction. We'll review and advise. I intend to consider each case individually. Let me finish. I'll take a detailed look at each situation. I detest violence against law enforcement. And would you counsel the president about that? Mr. President, in light of your plan to grant numerous pardons on your first day, will your guidance be specific? No, Mr. President. I need to assess each on its merits. Do not grant mass pardons. Is that going to be your counsel to the president? Faced with the simplest of questions, did widespread election fraud occur? She still couldn't deliver a truthful answer. What came next eradicated any doubt. Let's break it down. The debate between Schiff and Bondi on the 2020 election and presidential pardons was a classic display of accountability versus avoidance. Schiff directly confronted Trump's unsubstantiated claims about widespread voter fraud, seeking a straightforward response. Bondi sidestepped the truth, opting for evasiveness. As the discussion moved to presidential pardons, she used more diplomatic language, vaguely promising to assess them individually skillfully, evading a direct critique of Trump's use of pardons as political tools. Schiff's persistent questioning highlighted the significant stakes. This wasn't merely a matter of legal intricacies. It was about whether leaders are committed to upholding democracy in the face of deceit and power misuse. Bondi's evasions reflected a fundamental truth. Her allegiance to Trump was stronger than her commitment to the facts. Senator, I have not reviewed any of those cases. If confirmed, I'll review them. And can you manage to examine hundreds of cases on your first day? I'll review every case assigned to me. Certainly not. So, will you advise the president, may I answer? I would have a substantial staff. You've indicated that, of course, you'll review these bodies and yourself. Right. Let's explore another query. You seem unwilling to respond to that. Were you censured by Congress, Senator, for similar remarks that are equally important for you to safeguard, records and evidence from the department? Can you promise that none of the January 6th investigation evidence will be destroyed while you're in charge? Senator, I will comply with the law. I'll consult with the department's ethical officials. Do you see any ethical justification for destroying evidence in the January 6th investigation? Then why won't you affirm to this committee? We will never destroy the evidence in the January 6th investigation? Why can't you assure this committee and the American public of that? Are you hesitant because false evidence against President Trump was destroyed? Is that your reason? Why is it hard to answer? It's baffling. Why can't you promise to preserve evidence at the Department of Justice? Why is that challenging? I will obey the law. This shouldn't be a difficult pledge. She faced a clear question about her commitment to securing January 6th evidence and still wouldn't confirm her compliance. That alone speaks volumes. The intense exchange between Adam Schiff and Pam Bondi regarding the preservation of January 6th records struck at the essence of public trust in U.S. institutions. Schiff was adamant, demanding a firm commitment to protect vital documents that might implicate Trump and his associates. Bondi's evasions only highlighted the seriousness of the situation. Transparency and accountability are meaningless if evidence can be concealed, altered, or destroyed. This was no minor procedural issue. It was a contest over whether the historical record would remain truthful or be altered for political gain. Schiff's questioning underscored the stakes. Without protective measures, the January 6th investigation could collapse under partisan pressure, leaving the quest for truth forsaken. What are your thoughts? Share them in the comments. And if this analysis was insightful, subscribe for more. The next one promises even more revelations. She was confronted with the simplest question imaginable. Was there massive election fraud? Yet she couldn't speak the truth when she then sidestepped Trump's unsubstantiated fraud allegations and offered no clear answers. It signified much more than legalities. It highlighted the broader issue. Are leaders ready to protect democracy from falsehoods and abuse of authority? Bondi's evasions unearthed the deeper reality. Her dedication to Trump overshadowed any allegiance to the truth.
Senator, I have not looked at any of those files. If confirmed, I will look at the files
And
for
will
the
you be able to
pardons, as well
will
as
you
the
be able to
ongoing
review
investigation.
hundreds of cases on day one?
I will look at every file I am
Of
asked
course you
to
won't.
look
So
at.
will you advise the
Hey,
president?
can I
will
answer
you-
the question?
Well, my question
I would
is-
have plenty of staff. You said, of course you want.
You'll be able to review
Listen, I'm
hundreds
not
of
going to
cases on the first day?
mislead this body nor you.
All right, let me ask another question. You don't want to answer that. Let me ask
You were
another question.
censured by
It will
Congress, Senator, for
it will
comments just like this that
it
are
will
so reckless.
It will also be important for you to be able to preserve the records, the evidence of the department. Are you ready to commit that none of the evidence in the January 6th investigation will be destroyed under your watch?
Senator, I will follow the law. I will consult with ethical officials in the
Do you
department.
see any ethical basis to destroy evidence in the January 6th investigation? Then why can't you answer the question? Why can't you say, I commit to this committee, we will never destroy the evidence in the January 6th investigation? Why can't you give this committee and the American people that assurance?
Are you frightened because evidence was destroyed against President Trump that was false? Is that why you're
Why do
frightened
you
now?
have
I can't
difficulty?
believe this is even.
Why do you have difficulty answering that question?
I can't believe
Why
you're
do you have
asking such a
difficulty?
question.
Why do you have difficulty promising to preserve evidence at the Department of Justice? Why is that a difficult question?
I will follow the law.
It shouldn't be a difficult question.
She was presented with a simple inquiry. Would she agree to preserve the January 6th evidence, yet she couldn't provide a straightforward affirmation? That hesitation alone reveals so much. The heated interaction between Adam Schiff and Pam Bondi regarding the safeguarding of January 6th documents cut right to the core of the public's trust in America's institutions. Schiff was relentless, pressing for a crystal-clear promise to protect essential records that might incriminate Trump and his associates. Bondi's dodging only highlighted the seriousness of the situation. If evidence can be concealed, altered, or destroyed, transparency and accountability are rendered meaningless. This was far from a trivial bureaucratic issue. It was a fight over whether the annals of history would accurately capture the truth or be altered to serve political ends. Schiff's probing illustrated the importance of the situation clearly. Without solid assurances, the January 6th investigation risks being doomed by partisan fidelity, leaving the quest for truth unfulfilled. What's your take on this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you thought this analysis was insightful, don't forget to subscribe. The next one promises even more eye-opening revelations.